Well, the Eskom Inquiry looking into the parastatal's role in state capture has resumed today in Parliament. First to testify has been Venete Klein, a former board member at the SOE. But the big one today is the SOE's former CEO, Brian Molefe, who is expected to testify sometime today. Let's cross to our reporter, Bulelani Philip. He joins us live from Parliament for more. And Bulelani, there was some skepticism as to whether or not Molefe would actually arrive today. But shock of all shocks, he did arrive. When can we expect to hear from him?
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Natasha. Basically, Mr. Molefe, I can confirm that he arrived at this venue behind me, which is the Good Hope Center building where the Eskom Inquiry is taking place. Arrived about 30 minutes ago with what looked like two lawyers who were in tow. In terms of the official schedule of the interviews and the testimonies, he's supposed to be starting his testimony at 2. But given the lengthy testimony that has been taken by one of the first witnesses this morning, it looks like today's proceedings are going to be running up to 2 hours late. As I speak to you now, we're supposed to be speaking to the second testimony, but the committee is still busy with the first witness, and of course there's still going to be MPs who are going to have to cross-question the first witness. So as I look at things now, it looks like the program is running about between an hour and a half and 2 hours late.
I'm sure that when he eventually does take the stand, there will be quite a grilling for Brian Molefe.
Look, we do expect some fireworks as well as a lot of information that he's been calling for to be called before this committee. You'll remember that there's been quite a lot of people who have actually made allegations against him, who have actually pinned him on certain issues. So I think today it's his time to be able to defend his name or try to clear his name, but also on the other hand is to try and actually put his facts or the side of the story to him. Now, one of the two things that he needs to actually be speaking to is the issue around the payment of his 30 million pension payout. Of course, the first witness that we saw this morning, who is also a former board member of Eskom, she did actually concede under cross-examination that there was no consistency with the rules of the pension payout. In other words, she was actually confirming that the subcommittee that actually approved this pension payout was not actually authorized to do that, because it was actually supposed to be the entire board that is supposed to do that. Also around the issue of the employment of Mr. Molefe, that they actually had to be deviating from the normal processes of actually shortlisting 3 people. In that instance, they felt that he was a capable person who had actually been hands-on in terms of trying to steer South Africa out of the load shedding, and they're saying that because of that capability that they brought to Eskom, they felt that they needed to deviate from the normal recruitment processes.
All right, and Bulelani, take us quickly through what we heard from Venete Klein. She too echoed sentiments of the state of disarray at Eskom and amongst the board. Take us briefly through what she had to say.
Look, I think the reason why she has been brought here is that she was the People and Governance subcommittee member within the Eskom board. In other words, she was responsible for the recruitment processes which linked directly to Mr. Brian Molefe. And then, as I said earlier, is that she's saying that Mr. Molefe, when he was brought here, he was actually given a contract that did not have an exit clause. In other words, it was an indefinite thing. So it was neither confirmed whether he's a permanent employee or whether it just didn't have a proper contract. In other words, what they are saying is that after consulting with the minister as well as the board chairperson, the minister actually wrote a letter to the board, actually instructing the board that Mr. Molefe should be given a 5-year term contract in line with his level of employment. But when Mr. Dr. Ben Gubane, who was the board chairperson at the time, he actually gave him a contract that is, not having a exit clause, which is why the issue of the pension payout actually gave the confusion in terms of how it was supposed to calculate it. And she's saying that the subcommittee that actually dealt with this issue of the pension payout was that Mr. Molefe was only eligible for that pension payout if he had completed 5 years within the organization, and in this case he didn't. Hence she was saying that it was not consistent with the rules of Eskom.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it will be interesting to see what Mr. Molefe has to say when he faces MPs this afternoon. Bulelani, thanks so much for that. Our Bulelani Philip live with us on that Eskom inquiry.